Publishers Fair Talks and Readings programme. So we have Bad Blood and Sybil and Swedenborg House. So Bad Blood and Sybil is the imprint of Andrew Kötting, who makes films, bookwork, performances, installations, CDs, LPs, VR and music, often in collaboration with daughter Eden or writer Ian Sinclair. Swedenborg House publications chart the cultural and intellectual legacy of Swedish scientist and philosopher Emanuel Swedenborg and include work from Alice Albania, Gareth Evans and Ian Sinclair. And artist and writer Stephen McNeely directs the Society, Museum and imprint. Just to say, make you aware that this session will go on till 5, glorious, extra 10 minutes. But if you have to leave beforehand, please do so, but just quietly as you can, okay? So for the closing readings of the Small Publishers Fair 2025, it's my pleasure to introduce Andrew Kötting, reading from Blabbermind, and Ian Sinclair from Annie Oakes Orchids.
Thank you very much indeed for inviting me. I'm Andrew Kötting. I like the idea of coating. That works well, but the umlauts always confuse people. Yeah, sometimes they turn it into a knotting, but cotton. But I'm definitely not Ian Sinclair, as some of you will realise very shortly. Anyway, I don't want to eat into my 15 minutes, but the Blabbermind was inspired very much by the Water Cysts, 1914-18. Some of you might recognise the pink. Blabbermind really as an extension of my ill thinking, bad thinking and wrong thinking, which has been corralled into a kind of bookwork. And I wrote this just coming out of lockdown and kind of connected to a state of mind that was very much influenced by my daughter Eden, who you mentioned, who I've collaborated with for many years. Now we share these kind of notebooks, and Eden infiltrates my notebooks. This is a kind of facsimile of them, but some of these images are all kind of Eden's collages. She was born with a very rare neurological disorder, which is called Joubert syndrome. She's 37, her life expectancy at the beginning was very, very precarious, but we've gone on to make many, many works together. So I tended to initially use these as my own notebooks, but at the very end she started getting a little bit above her station and managed to kind of pretty well control the whole bookwork. So I'm now limited to these just kind of the marginalia. So I decided to kind of pull the marginalia and put it into this blast version of Blabbermind. And so I'm just going to pick out a few things. This is something I published last year, and as you see, I'm kind of responding quite often to images that Eden has kind of produced in the main sketchbooks, which I then cull. And I'm either responding to the images, or if not, I'm making stuff up as I go along. So this is stuff that I made up as I went along a while ago. So the first page, I'm just going to kind of dip in and out. I mean, it's very collagic, but I start by saying, the unimaginable is all too imaginable. It's terrible, and it doesn't matter. We'll just have to learn to get used to it. And then what I've done is I've redacted stuff that I really shouldn't be thinking. It's stuff that is it's outrageous, it's misogynistic, sexist, racist, horrible stuff. But I'm going to read it anyhow. But if you buy the book, you can read it firsthand. And there is a charm and a particular freedom about letting just anything come along, and the grace or the ennui of a latter destiny. Cool Memories by Jean Baudrillard, wanker. That was redacted. And then we move on. Friday, 14:34 p.m.-ish. What drawing, Papa? What drawing, Papa? What drawing, Papa? What drawing, Papa? What am I going to do now, Papa? What drawing? What drawing, Papa? What's for supper, Papa? Papa, what drawing? And thus it goes on and on and on. Colloquium. Noun, an academic conference or seminar, or better still, a series of outbursts, resplendent in the incompetence of their ambition, held together by the intermittent interruptions and fissures of daily life, signposted at the time of their writing by a catalyst or provocation. Her, underline, referring to Eden. Thursday, 17:15 p.m.-ish. She sits there, head in hands, dribbling onto her own knees and waiting for the day to be gone or for me to come home. Her mother, in the other room, not alone but resplendent in the warm glow of a digital wormhole into which she has fallen in an attempt to escape our daughter, sat there, head in hands, waiting for the day to be gone, and for her, father, me, to come home. Then the memory of words spoken by my grandmother, harbinger of things to come, and an adventure never imagined. And there's things about that side of the family, Andrew, I will never tell you. For instance, these are misassembled rememberings, misassembled indeed. So that was my opening gambit, a few pages in. Meanwhile, on this occasion, her, again, nearness has become the cause of all this blabbermine. Who knows where I might have been otherwise? Not here. Equivocations, their scorings, with a preponderance and a predominant bid for attention, and with the conundrum that is the future. And this is in capitals. Also disarmingly simple. We take conventional wisdom about life and we mix it all up. Evocations, a lot harder to find nowadays. Mangled of mind. Thus, herein rests the distillation of underdeveloped ideas by way of joyful cacophony. Unasked questions, invariably providing the much-needed answers. For instance, there is magic everywhere, especially when she cuddles me after a hard day's graft at the coalface of psychogeographical tug. Invariably sat there dwelling upon the sheer lunacy of hydromancy, or the ancient art of revelation. Oculomancy? What is she while she is thinking? Does she think while she's drawing? Is she really the mother of her child? Another one. The sun, the moon and the stars aren't even colours to her. Parked up next to the failure of language in the face of a catastrophic misunderstanding. We are here or thereabouts. Whilst Bandcamp is there to annihilate or soothe me, like fundamentalist belief systems. So, when others tell me that they can create a list of things that they hate, I find it hard to believe. Loathe maybe, but for so many it's hate. And not just on the tops of the fingers or across the knuckles. To stab somebody in close proximity would give me the heebie-jeebies. Better punch them in the face, and a kick in the leg, or a ruffle of the hair. Painful, but nevertheless. Monday, 15:34 p.m.-ish. This evening, she was all single-syllable chatterbox and singing. Glorified utterings and singings as she copied Becky. Sorry, signings as she copied Becky. Her Makaton tutor, her sign language tutor. In these moments, she is beyond alive. She transcends the looping and starts soaring, higher than the preferred state of mind that descends her the minute she gets up, toilets, washes, and then sits on the stairs, waiting for us to begin her day. Hardcore, neuron diversity in all of its absurdity. Tuesday, 18:09 p.m.-ish. Her sleeping has become so predictable, always on her front, without a pillow and buried face down, deep in the mattress. Our bedroom ajar, previously on tenterhooks and permanently available, should she fall into that deep sleep, waiting for the inevitability of a predicted possibility. But it didn't happen. Sleep, apnea, never got the better of her. So now, she wakes with a face full of dribble, ripe as ninepence, but miserable as sin, as a new day sets in, a bit like her mother. Luckily, ladies downstairs. That's the mother. Okay. A change of head in which social constructivism is the cause of all our problems, manifest in the form of a drip, 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 drip of depression. The drip, 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 drip of depression. Those budding French intellectuals gained in culture, they often lacked in imagination. So they got others to make things up for them. Their legacy lives on, postmodern and strong. Full fed up with rhetorical incontinence and intellectual brilliance, best known for being intellectual, in much the same way that Paris Hilton is famous for being famous. Indifferent to the community and convention. Commitment instead to a progressive regressive, in which incredulity reigns supreme, should the delusion prove questionable. This is in capitals, loud. Incoherent, illogical, unintelligibility, the new goal of the great distributors. Over. Wednesday, 5:48 p.m.-ish. Her period has begun. Again, her yuck. She's all legs in the air as I prepare a new sanitary towel. Blood on the tips of my fingers and irritation as I struggle to insert the sticky backed padding. Still, all fingers and thumbs. After almost 15 years of practice, we were never told about this at the antenatal classes in Deptford. We're close to the end. I think probably 12 minutes. 2 minutes left. Okay. Destroy all past monsters, provided their ours are not theirs. The pestilential destruction of all other options as a given. And thus we don't move along to the higher ground. Dreams, errors, symptoms, and jokes as homeopathic remedy, with but barely the trace elements of accountability, obfuscated by buffoonery, accessory after the fact. Relationships as memory, memory as relationships and long-forgotten humiliations. In spring and summer, the hermit thrush feeds mainly on insects and love. He doesn't like to get up too early, and he certainly isn't aware of what's going on next door. Meanwhile, the new objectors stand on the foreshores and plot their next objection, whilst all around the decisions are being made. Thus, once it is over, they unload with their should-have-is, could-have-is cant. No longer the first day issue. These are old issues, re-released, moreover a weary trope of nobleness, wherein one day we will not be at all. Time is the school in which we learn how to manage that which is not at all. We get lost in conjecture as the evidence just grows longer. This blabber just goes on and on and on. But for how much longer? We're reaching the end. All I know is that place dictates the story, and so does she. Love to Eden. Thank you. Put your hands together and welcome to the stage, all the way from over there, Ian Sinclair.